Okay, here we are. Hi, I'm Monica Garcia, and I'm here with Vanessa Sage. And we are here finally for our third episode of Tea and Tarot. How are you, Vanessa?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. I
So good
can't.
to be doing this again.
What's that?
So good to be doing this again. Oh,
Yeah. Whoa.
don't want to
Yeah.
get high over my
Yeah, people have been saying, when are you going to do another one? And it realized that it's been a while. So we're going to try to do these more regularly. So
Yes.
what do you have going on, Vanessa?
It's called Phoenix Dance Song, but I like to call it Phoenix Dancing. And it's Rishi tea. I really like Rishi Company, and they describe it as like honey, sweet nectar, and all this kind of stuff. It really just tastes like oolong, and I like to rename it.
I love that. I also love Rishi. They make, I think like their Golden Yunnan is like my favorite all-time black tea.
They're
Um,
golden.
Golden Yunnan.
Oh,
It's really good. I'm just drinking an Assam tea from Pete's, and which I like, and I'm going to show you my favorite little teapot that I like to brew it in. Isn't that
that's
sweet?
that's gorgeous.
Yeah, a good friend of the family's. She knows that I love tea and I kind of collect teapots, and so she found that for me at an estate sale. And so now I get to brew my tea, and I've got my
Oh,
cup
that's
here.
beautiful.
I'm going to drink.
My pot goes with your cup,
Ooh, pretty.
and I'll show you my mug too. It's cats and dandelions.
Oh, sweet. Oh, sorry. I'm gonna here. Hold it up again, and I won't say anything. Say it again. Say it again out loud so that they can
Yeah,
see it.
little cats and some dandelions. I thought it was fitting with the phoenix dancing.
Perfect. So that seems kind of a springy cup.
Yeah,
Springy. And
very.
even though we're in summer, there's been a card that has come up for both of us a lot that is a very kind of springtime kind of card,
Hmm.
which is the number 0, which I always find interesting that tarot starts with 0, and it's the Fool. And so, because both of us have been getting it and it's been sort of on our minds, I thought we could maybe talk a little bit about it. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
So this card has come up. It was so funny because I've been working with a fool, and then Monica posted this card that had been coming up from her, and it's really funny. Monica and we tend to have these really kind of interesting, like we live completely opposite ends of the continent, different countries, but it's just so funny how so often we have these things that are going on that are very, very similar, and like themes, that we're working through in our life. And one of them is the fool. And um, so this is the card. It's from the Triple Goddess Tarot, which is a complete major arcana deck with chakra cards. It's really beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love
Right.
that
Right.
card. And I love the idea of the Fool. So because it's the first card, right? It's this fresh beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So in that card, she's flying into spring, which I just think is so awesome.
Yeah. And
Um, yeah,
it's
I pulled out the cards that I have with me on my desktop here. One is a new deck that I got called the Mythical Goddess Tarot. I actually bought it at the same time I bought the one you have there, the Triple Goddess, the one you just showed. So we're kind of in the goddessy place. Um, and so, yeah, that one shows like a younger woman, kind of a maiden, dancing into spring. And this one shows a Japanese goddess, who I adore. This is Uzume.
mm,
And the story of Uzume is that the sun, Ameritsu, I think, Japanese goddess of the sun, got saddened by something. I can't remember that backstory, but she went into a cave and went hiding.
mm.
all the other gods were trying to get her out because without the sun, there's no. It's kind of an agriculture story, right? You can't grow crops, you can't have life without sun. And so finally, this sort of minor goddess, Uzume, decided to just get up on a table and flash her boobies and be bawdy and silly and ribald and risque. And soon she had the whole pantheon of gods and goddesses laughing hysterically at her. And the sun was like, what's going on out there? And she was the one that got the sun to come out. And so she's that sort of feminine aspect of silliness and funny and women together, you know, being their crazy selves. And so she's become one of my favorite, actually, goddesses. And you can see her. And the other thing, which doesn't show on the Flying into Spring, which does show in my other decks, often with a Fool, is the color, right? The green.
Yes.
So the spring green, which is often the heart chakra, and there's this newness and creativity and things coming to life, right? That green of the first leaves that come through. So I adore her.
That's great too, because, you know, like, how do you bring the light out? And it's, you know, not through kind of forcing the door open or, you know, like pounding or anything like that, but this kind of light play. What does that say about when we're trying to bring out that joy and sun within?
Yeah, and to laugh also, you know, to bring it out in that light, just what you were saying, in that light way. I have a friend who's constantly reminding me to, you know, not take everything too seriously because it's easy to do that sometimes. It's easy to get bogged down in the, you know, the hard stuff and forget that a lot of times the way through a hard patch, the way through to the new beginning, the way through to the light again is through laughing and silliness and letting it all go.
Well, it's funny too, because, you know, often, so here's another green Fool. So often the Fool is pictured, you know, basically jumping off a cliff, right? I don't know about you, but I'm not. It's not that appealing to jump off a cliff,
Right.
unless I've got some parachute, and then even then, I'm not really. You're probably not going to see me actually physically cliff jumping, but there's this kind of feeling of, you know, jumping into the unknown and that kind of thing. But here, it's not a cliff, right? It's a path.
Is that the Wildwood?
This is the Gaian Tarot. So there's this kind of expanse that she's walking into. Instead of the expansiveness of like free falling air, you know, there's somewhere to go. You know? You don't necessarily know what's down in that valley, but you can still explore and you know, that's a landscape I prefer, I think, to walk into as the Fool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
so many different ways to look at it.
Yeah, and so for Uzume, this Fool is about coming out of the darkness right, into the light. You've been through the winter. This is really, you know, a seasonal. You've been through the winter. We're coming into spring. The light is coming back. The sun is coming back. Things can grow again, and you know, inside too. When we've been through our dark period, times that are dark, then we come through into the light. The other one I pulled out was the Wild Unknown Tarot, which we talked about in an earlier episode, and this is their Fool, which has so much innocence is this such a sweetness.
Mm-hmm.
And also, there's the difference between jumping off a cliff. Here is this little chickie chick and maybe getting ready for their first flight.
Yes. Yes.
And that feels so much better than jumping off a cliff. Like, we're supposed to fly. That's what this card is saying to me. You know,
Yes.
that's what we're made for. We're made for flying. We're made for soaring. And there's also a little bit of a warning in here, too, which I think is good for the Fool in general. Only soar, only fly if your wings are ready.
Mm.
Right? If you're too not quite there yet, you know, just be mindful.
Yes, because the chick hasn't actually, it's still on the branch, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this sweet little chick and I'm like, are those wings quite ready yet? They may be, but they may not be. And so it's that newness, the understanding that while we may be about ready to take flight, we may still be young and innocent in the ways of where we're going. And so, you know, have some care. Don't jump off before you're ready.
So when you get a card like that that starts speaking to you, whether you pull it in a reading or stuff is going on in your life and it's like, oh, that's a fool. Like, what do you then do with that?
Well, this is a good question because that's exactly what I've been experimenting with this deck. When we talked about it in our earlier episode, I was saying I was finding it hard to read, mostly because I have no book and the images are very different from my other ones. And there's just this piece of paper which has like 2 words each one, right? But then I just thought this is a great opportunity to zero in on the card and just what is it saying to me? So really, what is this card evoking in me? What are the feelings? Because maybe that's the most important thing. Maybe that's way more important than what the book would be telling me. You know, I think both things can be helpful. But really so now I've been doing a practice, and this is really what I'm going to focus on when I launch an e-course, probably not until September now. But it's really going to be, and what I've been practicing is looking at the card, feeling into what do you want to tell me, is taking some deep breaths when I look at it, journaling that, and then, you know, I'll go to the book or the paper or whatever and see what else might stir to continue that. But it's been good. It's been kind of fun because those messages right from inside probably, I mean, that's why I look at the tarot in the first place, is for those messages. So what about you? What do you do?
Yeah, well, I mean, the way I often work with cards is very intentional. So, like in my course, a lot, probably the vast majority of the prompts in tarot memoirs is picking cards yourself. So it is no longer about the tarot meanings at all. It's about, okay, I'm looking at this card and what is it like to go into that card, and how does that when have I done that before? When do I want to do that? Like, kind of really looking into your life and seeing how that works. And then I think for me as well, an interest when a card starts kind of taking hold for me. So like the Fool and the Tower really took hold for me a few weeks ago. I don't really need a whole lot more cards in my life. I kind of work through those cards. They're so rich, right? So you know, what would it be like to kind of embody this more fully, and really digging deep into that message around following your own path, and as we've already kind of shown in all the different ways that different artists have looked at the card and the ways that we've looked at the card, it can go so deep. Yeah, so I think it just kind of
And
becomes
be really personalized, right?
exactly, yeah, very personal. And it's no longer about, the history of the tarot and what it all meant and all that kind of stuff. It's really just, what does it mean for me?
Right.
Yeah.
So cool. And did you say you had some cards that you had pulled that you might want to talk
So
about?
it's funny because these cards actually come out of this fool's journey where I'm like, okay, so all right, I'm committed. I'm doing this fool thing. Now what? What do I need? So the first thing I did was actually pull some plant ally cards.
I
Uh,
love
so
this.
working with, yeah, these are just so beautiful. Um, so working with the oracle cards and the tarot cards together. Um, and what did I get first? I got flexibility. So I was sitting outside on the front deck, no reading cloth, and trying to like balance on the chair and stuff. And and this one, I didn't have my book. It comes with a little PDF, and I have the first copy. So I think on the new is the meaning on the back on the new one.
On my, yeah, on mine.
So mine is a first edition, I think, and it doesn't have the meaning. So, and I didn't have my computer with me, and didn't have the printout. So I'm like, okay, so flexibility. Oh, okay. Now what? So I pulled another one. So how do and then I got adaptive power.
Wow, they are so in line with each other.
I'm like, really? I don't want to be flexible. Where?
Such a kicker about the cards. They don't care what we want. They just tell us what we need.
I don't want to be adaptive. Just give me the, because the fool really puts you into that place of the unknown, right? It's like, and so okay, I'm like, okay, and then like there's this ocean thing going on. I'm like, oh, is that a sign? And all this stuff. And so then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to be flexible and adaptive. How am I going? So then the next question I asked was, how am I gonna do that? And I got calendula, being calm. And there's still a dancer in there. So she's still kind of going, like moving. It's not like sitting meditation calm, grounded. It's like a flexible calm. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I'm working with the Fool. And that's kind of one of the ways I do readings is I'm like, okay, what is it that I need? All right, help me with that one. You just told me to be flexible. I really don't want to be flexible. How do I do that? And then how does that support the flexibility and the adaptability?
Love that. Yeah. Yeah. I often use the plant ally cards in that exact way, especially if it's a card that I find challenging. And then I'll ask they're called plant ally cards. So I'll say, okay, who wants to come and be my ally and help me with this challenging moment? The other thing is kind of interesting about the cards and why I kind of love this Fool is, sometimes even if the cards are different from one another, as I pull day by day, there'll be a theme happen with you. Like, yeah, so this one, the Fool, and it's funny because this is not the Fool I pulled. It was the one that you showed, the Flying into Spring, but I decided to use this one today, and it's reminding me, oh yeah, right, laugh, right? Laugh and be silly, and that is one of the ways in. And so I'm going to show you the other card that I've been getting over and over again. And it's funny because not simply the devil, although the devil has come up in my other readings, but I've also been getting a ton of ones with the horns. So a lot of goaty cards. And so it's, a lot of people have negative associations with this card, and of course the word People are going to have negative associations with the word. And there is this warning in here about being careful about obsessions and addictions and falling into things. And I find that the message I get more often from this card is more like this one. It's like off too seriously. He's kind of got a little bit of a sly expression on his face. It's this idea of even if your feet are in the fire, you can still be kind of, what do I want to say, have a wicked sense of humor. The wickedness to me feels more playful. And I also get all the time when I work with the animal cards, coyote, which is the trickster. And so that trickster, if you don't laugh at yourself, coyote will come in and make sure that he'll bump you. So I have this picture of a goat bumping my butt, right, and pushing me over. It's like in that way that they have of knocking you out of the seriousness into on some level. And I don't mean this in a way that that's nihilistic or negative, but in some way life is just a big cosmic joke. I mean, there is so much crap that goes on, and on some level we have to laugh. It's like gallows humor, when things are going to crazy. It's like find a way to laugh your way through it, because you might as well laugh. So yeah, I'm getting that message all the time recently.
Now, when you got the devil, so the devil hasn't actually ever come up for me. Not been a card that's ever kind of made itself known to me, and I don't even know if I've ever pulled it in a reading, honestly. It's strange. Why would I never have pulled that card? How did you feel when the devil came up? Because I know a lot of people are like, in a way that kind of triggers every kind of tarot fear people may have, right? Did you feel did you have any feelings about it?
Right. Well, yeah, it's funny. You and I were talking about that Instagram challenge that I've been doing that you might jump in. And one of the first or second, maybe the second day, it was like, what's your favorite tarot book? And I don't have it in my hand, but it's the one that I got with my original deck, which is the Thoth, the Aleister Crowley tarot deck. And that devil is super, super phallic. It's got this like big shaft going up and these two round things on the side, and it's and this very goaty, devilly guy in the middle. And the book that came with that deck, when I got it years and years ago, the meanings were really gentle, actually. And so it says, be careful about demonizing parts of yourself. Be careful about not allowing you to be a full person. And I could really relate to that, that I really felt like parts of me were okay and parts of me were not okay, and I had to ignore. And I believe that when a person shuts down whole parts of themselves and doesn't really look at them and accept that, maybe sometimes you're not going to be the nicest person in the world, and that's part of being a person, or that maybe sometimes you're going to be jealous, or maybe sometimes, all of these feelings that we have that are not okay, that get demonized, that we need to let them back in so that we can look at them and recognize them, right, when they come up, and then make a choice whether or not to follow them. Okay, we have that feeling, but that doesn't mean we have to act on it. And so to me, then the devil became a card about being careful about demonizing myself, being careful about demonizing other people. So I never had that feeling about it, that purely negative feeling that other people have. And I'm really grateful for that book, because the book was called It's a guy, Gerd Ziegler, and it was tarot is a mirror for the soul. And so that's what I always found tarot to be, not about, you know, what's going to happen out there in the world to you or whatever. It's really about reflecting for ourselves what's going on internally, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's what it's about. So yeah, so it doesn't bother me. And I've been getting this card all the time, and I'm really receiving it as a way to, again, like, oh, there's more layers of myself, I think, that need to be brought into the light. And for me to see all those parts of myself and not to demonize. And being careful about that with other people. So when we demonize parts of ourselves, then we often project that. When we see something that we don't like in someone else, it really, really reject it and hate it if it's something that we are trying to pretend that it doesn't exist in ourselves, right?
Yeah. I love that. I really want to work with the devil now.
All right. Ooh, you open that door.
Oh no. I've already got the fool. The fool in the tower. It's good.
Right.
Let's kind of think too, because when I think about addiction, I think about that rejection. I think a lot of what drives addiction is a kind of difficulty really feeling all the feelings, and you know, needing help and comfort to do that, and maybe not necessarily looking in the best places for that. I don't. It's really interesting, because when you describe the devil, there is so much compassion in the way that you're talking about that, and really allowing for all of that stuff to be okay. And the truth of the matter is, we all have that shadow stuff. We're all human beings, and that's just. And if we reject it, what happens? You know, fractures and all this kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, those parts get way more powerful than they need to be. Yeah, it's like, no, I don't want that stuff driving my bus. Oh no. So yeah, you know, I'm thinking about the time, and one of the things I wanted to make sure we did was talk about. You mentioned you have an upcoming e-course that sounds fabulous, and I was hoping you would talk a little bit about tarot memoirs. Like, what's a tarot memoir? I'm totally fascinated by that.
Thanks. Well, it's a 6-week e-course, and there's also live writing workshops. So, you know, basically, I'm going to be pulling cards, and you can write. And there's even, you know, if you're an artist, you can do mixed media stuff as well. And the 6 weeks takes you through a structure where you can really look at the story that you want to tell, so the memoir that you want to tell, and use the tarot to help you understand your life in a different kind of way. So you might consciously put the tarot into your story, or just use the tarot as a prompt. So a lot of kind of what we've been talking about, where you know, what does the Fool look like for you? What does the Devil look like? And then you can write about that, but within the kind of larger story of your memoir. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So it sounds like, one, you probably don't have to know that much about the tarot to do that.
No. So they're really, it's like visual prompts, really. And you know, it's not even, it's really not even about being a writer either. It's about really wanting to go into the story of your life, and that story can be a part of your life. So a lot of people think of memoir and autobiography and get them confused, like I've got to tell my whole life story or something like that. And it doesn't have to be like that. It can be. I've even heard people writing future memoirs, and what their life might have been, or stuff like that. So you can get really, really creative about the kind of story and the particular piece of your life story that you want to tell through the different prompts.
All right. So if we're going to do that, say, let's practice. Let's try, because I'm kind of fascinated by this whole idea. And so I've got some cards. I've got the Mythical Goddess Tarot. And so I would just sort of pick an area of my life I want to be thinking about. Is that
Yes,
kind of start?
each week is different. So in the first week, we really look at the story that you want to tell. So that's the ground, and also setting up some daily or weekly writing rituals that you want to incorporate into the whole course. And then we look at archetypes, people, and moments that help flesh out your story using
Cool.
and then in the final 2 weeks you have this kind of structure of the story and kind of all these different pieces. You can gather it together and then understand that story on a kind of deeper soul level. Why has this happened? How does it relate to what other people have been through or are going to go through? How can your story help heal yourself and others? And then in the final week, it's a releasing ceremony of the story. Because I don't believe that we need to stay stuck in our stories. It's like the telling of it and then the letting of it go.
I love that. I love that. So I just decided to pull a card thinking about telling the story about you and I and tea and tarot. And what it really, so I'm like, let me just try this out. And it's perfect actually, because we have tried to do this third one like 4 different times.
Yes.
Like, I want to do it one week. You're like, no, I can't do it. And then I had to cancel twice. So here we are. And so what I pulled out, 10 of Earth, fruition.
Yeah.
Like, here it is. We are richly abundant in our ability to come together and have this time. And really, everyone out there, as we tried to schedule this and schedule this and schedule this, and it didn't work. And then this morning I said, I can do it now. And Vanessa said, I can do it now. Messaged her, I can do it right now. So sometimes that's how things come to fruition. Right. So that's what that, I was like, oh, this is actually about today. But yeah, so that's really cool. And thank you for sharing that about your e-course. And so we'll put a link down in our description. I believe you have an early bird that's ending soon. Is that right?
Yeah, it ends on Friday.
Okay, so here we are Monday, so people have this week to get in on the early bird for Vanessa's course. I'm also going to put down in the description a link to sign up for the waitlist for my course, which will be coming out in the fall, and that's going to be about using the cards and how to kind of build up the intuition muscle, how to look at the cards and from the images help unfold what the story is for yourself without even necessarily looking at the book. And so it's going to be like a fun, interactive course. And so I'll put a link for the people who are interested, who want to sign up for my newsletter waitlist about that down below as well.
That sounds great. Cool. We're throwing the books away.
That's right. I mean, I love the books, honestly. I adore the books. And it's really good for me, and it's giving me a whole new level. I've been practicing with this deck, and it's giving me a whole new level. Oh, here's the tower. It's giving me a whole new level of, my own inner voice coming first. So that's really fun. Yeah.
Well, to give you an example, just of so I was in a coffee shop and my partner, we were practicing doing these writing prompts with the cards, and I have an app on my phone for the Wildwood Tarot, and so the Ace of Stones came up, and the Ace of Stones is basically just this stone standing at the front of a kind of tangled forest, and there's swirls and labyrinths on it, and honestly, this writing is really rough, short, but then I can go and take something out of it. So if we have 30 seconds, I'll read it to you. And honestly, it's not that good. It's not about writing well. So I wrote, just looking at the card, standing alone, wondering where I will go next. So again, that Fool stuff is happening. Swirling solid. There never seems to be a clear path. Returning. I want to get found in the labyrinth. Want to stand strong, independent, confident, clear. I leave old tangles and watch as new growth. So that's not edited. the woman is a stone.
Mm. So that was really evocative.
So
Yeah.
that's like that's the kind of stuff that might come out, and then you can piece that together and like, oh, was there a story there? What am I trying to talk about?
Love it. Yay. Yay. So fun to be with you, Vanessa. So glad we could do this again. And we're going to try to do it more regularly
Yeah.
because it's too fun. And so if you like this video and you want us to do more, please hit that like button, subscribe to my channel. This is on my channel, Monica Garcia. Vanessa Sage also has a channel, which the next Tea and Tarot will show up on, but we'll make sure to put them all together in our playlists so you can see them all if you want to binge watch Tea and Tarot. And thanks for joining us today.
All right. Bye.
Bye.